Welcome to Iraq. I'm in Mosul right now. I'm going to explain in a little bit exactly what I'm doing here, but let's kick it off in the best way possible. I'm going to get some falafel. Falafel, fava beans. Alright, my first dinner in Mosul. I'm excited. Some sauce. Oh. This is good. Oh my god, look at this, look at this. So I promised at the start of this video that I'd explain exactly what I'm doing in Iraq. I've started in Mosul, and that's where I am right now. And I'm going to be going down the Tigris River through Samarra and Tikrit, all the way through to Baghdad. I'm going to be visiting Karbala and some of the other surrounding areas of Baghdad. I run a travel company, and this is the third video in this series. I've just been to Iran, mostly focused on Western Iran, and I've just been to Iraqi Kurdistan, and the links to those videos will be in this description. I just want to show you an unfiltered impression and give you a realistic impression of what it's actually like. The sign says, "Welcome to Mosul."
Sir, don't interfere in my job.
I'm standing in Mosul, in former ISIS territory. Still feels crazy to say that out loud. But right here is the old walls of Nineveh. These have quite clearly been recently built. And these are the old rocks that I think they're going to restore these walls. Nineveh. So what does the famous Tigris River look like? It looks something like this. So a lot of the intense fighting that happened for the battle for Mosul happened right in this area. The Tigris River is right there. I could just see a lot of the destruction. This is where the beautiful old city is, or you might say was. I'm really... I don't know how to describe my emotions, but I'm interested to see it, and I'll show you what I see. For those people who haven't seen my Iraqi Kurdistan video, I was being shown around Mosul by Arzu from Kurdistan Outdoor, and she's going to feature quite heavily during this first section of my Iraq video. There was very dark, heavy energy as we walked into the destroyed areas of Mosul. It's quite difficult to describe. So the battle was fully finished 5 or 6 years ago. And they've marked some aspects of this safe, and so this was an ice cream factory. Ooh. This is grim. The cleanup took a long time to really get started because of the amount of booby traps and bombs, but now they're going at speed, and most of these areas will be bulldozed by the end of 2026. Look at this. This is a fully restored building right in the heart of completely destroyed Mosul. It's a church. I've just filmed a bombed out corner of the old town, and it's shocking. It's just like what it is behind me. But the majority of the old town is not like that. You can see behind me, we have a lot of shops being restored. But you can also see the top levels there with the bullet holes and partially or completely destroyed depending on which building it is. But that's what's happening here. It's just gradually being restored. It's gradually being brought back to life. Hello. You're from
Iraq.
Iraq.
Okay.
Let's go into this beautiful little coffee shop. Wow.
very strong.
And very strong. Okay.
I can
That's my first tea in Mosul. Look at that. Mosul being restored one piece at a time.
موجود بداخل مصر بدون يعني ترك مصر مو على البيت مو دخل بس بداخل مصر تيستي
A destroyed house. There you have the Green Mosque where the Caliphate was declared 10 years ago. Then right to the just to the right of the mosque you have a church, and then you have the restored minaret. Hello. Yeah. أنت زكريا.
يوسف
انت عمي هوني كرديستان ايه يرعون عسل
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
We've just been invited to look inside a restored church in Mosul. I reckon this is going to be fascinating. This is the church where the Pope visited.
Yes
Wow.
that's his picture
And that's his picture. Yeah. We've been given special permission to come to the top here. Wow. So it's hard to make out in this video, but there's just this mix of churches and mosques side by side everywhere. This church was almost 100% destroyed during the war with ISIS, and it was rebuilt like this in only the last few years. Okay, so we have someone new to join us on this trip.
Hi,
You are
Ali.
from,
I'm from Baghdad.
and Ali is going to be our guide for this time in Iraq.
Yes.
So where are we, Ali?
We are in the archaeological city of Nimrod,
Uh-huh.
which is the modern name for it, and its actual name is Kaleh.
Khaled.
That is the Assyrian name.
Okay.
Yes.
So the ancient Assyrian city of Nimrud.
Yes, which was a capital for the Assyrians.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gonna see the palace, the remains of a ziggurat, and a few temples here, and we're also gonna see the destruction that happened. That we're gonna actually.
So Ali, can you help me understand why did ISIS decide to blow up
So
this historical site?
first of all, anything that shows a face, they consider it as sort of like copying God's work, which is creating a human or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And they consider those to be other gods that people were worshipping, which is not allowed. Like in
Right.
their version of Islam in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is why they blew up the sites. And then with other things, like in Mosul, they blew up mosques that have a name of a prophet rather than God, because they also consider it worshipping the prophets. So even mosques didn't survive that.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's one of the few things that they didn't actually manage to destroy.
Yeah.
So the winged bulls of the entry to this city were right here.
This is the Ishtar temple, which is dedicated to a female god. Her name is Ishtar, and she used to be worshipped in ancient Mesopotamia.
And this is what the site used to look like before they blew it up. We spent the entire day driving through former ISIS territory, and it wasn't something you could just forget. The visual signs were everywhere. You saw lots of destroyed houses, but most especially all the different military outposts and bases. Obviously, I couldn't take many videos of those, but you just got a real sense that this is an area that has gone through some very dark times. Part of the reason this area was so militarized is it's the final set of roads before you head out into the desert to cross the Syrian border. So that building in the distance with the little pillar sticking out is a former hotel. It was destroyed by a coalition airstrike back when ISIS was holding it. Now, as you drove through this area, you basically saw a lot of destroyed buildings and you saw micro-military bases. Pretty much every single house that was left standing for about a kilometre was taken by military units. This is Hatra.
This is Hatra. This is the Marin Temple, which means in their language, which was Aramaic, our Lord's Temple. Our Lord being the sun god, Shamash.
I was just saying that it's lovely to be in a place that hasn't been completely destroyed by a bunch of insane terrorists, but here are the bullet holes.
But also, there's something that's also interesting. Those are the initials of Saddam Hussein, because he did some restoration here and he put his initials
On every
the new
single
bricks.
Yeah, of course you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were just saying that ISIS was using this place as
A training ground. And also we're gonna go inside a place that they used it to make the explosives for the cars. Okay, this says in the name of God the Merciful. And here it says workshop of, so even though it's not finished, but the people here told me, so it's a workshop for making explosions. Yeah.
So visiting Hatra, Ali, for me has been a very unexpected and pleasant surprise. And thank heavens that this place wasn't destroyed.
Yes.
Because this is one of the best archaeological sites I think I've ever been to. So what does it say, Ali?
In the era of the victorious Saddam Hussein, the President of the Republic, the protector of Iraq, and the rebuilder of its civilizations. I rebuilt the big temple, the Temple of the Sun, that was built in the 1st century BC. And then it says the date, 1989 till 1990, so right before the first Gulf War.
So Ali, what were you saying about that mosque we just drove past?
So, Saddam had 3 mosques like this across the country. One in Mosul, one in Baghdad, and one in Fallujah. They're all big, they're all the great mosque of Saddam, but the funny thing is, none of them was finished.
We are back in Mosul and Ali has just let me know this restaurant we're going to right now is going to shock me a little bit. So let's find out what's so shocking. Lamassu restaurant.
Yes, Lamassu is the winged bull, the guardian angel that we saw in the Nimrod, where it was.
Yes. So shocking in the sense that you can't believe that Mosul would have a place like this.
It's crazy to think that this is the same city where you would get punished for smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, it's crazy. What the heck? That's good.
But the thing is,
So we're walking through this area that is beautifully lit up, everything's intact. You could never guess that there's a war zone here.
exactly.
But you told me that this is because we're on the left side.
Yes, so the left side of the city, first of all, it's the modern one, which was built as a lot of spaces in between the houses and in between everything. It was the first area where the military was advancing. So they liberated them, and then ISIS got pushed back to toward the right side.
Of the river, yeah.
Yes. And then they were basically surrounded there. That's why the battle was so intense, and they had to bomb a lot of the houses. Yeah.
I want to ask these guys some questions if that's okay.
Hey, معقول. الصف جاي كان صفه ويا ولد كبسه.
ماكو شغل لا اكل لا شرب كل شيء ما انا بليسه قمت اكل من الحديقه مال بيتي.
لا
والله من الحديقه استلمت اول 4-5 اشهر استلمت بعدين قطع التقاعد التقاعد ظل يجي تظل ايام داعش ظل التقاعد يجي فمثلا
the military escaped most of them because first of all there was a lot of corruption.
كل المعدات هم اخذوا السلاح كله اخذوه.
Immediately after what happened, I was at the checkpoint to get to Kurdistan. They didn't let me in. But what happened is the military also came They accepted to take in the military. They buy in exchange for handing their guns, their vehicles, everything, and then they just dress like civilians and go inside and then escape.
So they
because
gave...
first of all, there was a lot of at the beginning they would kill anyone who's associated with the military or police.
As in Islamic State would?
Yeah, the Islamic State.
And they were giving the weapons over to Peshmerga?
Yes.
كله تمام تمام شكرا
All right, new haircut, new look, feeling good. Going to a barbershop in Mosul.
Yes.
And Ali, you did some amazing job translating. I was asking them everything: Islamic State. What do they think of
So
this?
we're not holding back with any filters. Actually,
Yeah,
just going for those kind of topics.
Yeah, I was asking
Yeah.
them. I was asking about all sorts of political and sensitive topics. But tell me that thing. Like this guy was talking about what it's like to live in a neighborhood with Islamic State, and that at the end
They were so fed up with everything. So this guy specifically, he went to the counterterrorism units and he talked with them. He said, "Can I rat some people out?" They were like, "Yes, and we will protect you if you do that." So they just gave him a mask. By the way, they gave the details. He wore a mask.
Wow.
And he went on. He was like, this house, this person, and they arrested them and interrogated them all.
wow.
And a lot of people did that. So this is why.
So this was happening all over Mosul. People
All
were-
over Mosul,
Like
so-
this guy was in. This guy was in.
Exactly. So Mosul became, it's not a safe haven for ISIS anymore. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
everyone knows who went in, and because people that went in, they were being
Very obvious.
obvious about it, and they were proud of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone remembers who was there.
So those guys are all being cleaned out.
Yes. Exactly.
Completely cleared up.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they were just associated with haircuts and showers. That's what he
Really?
said. Yeah.
This is the iced tamarind. Look at this. Look at this. It's amazing. Cheers. Cheers. Oh yeah. Very refreshing. Very sour, but very nice and refreshing at the same time. What if I told you? What if I told you there was a liquor shop right here in Mosul? Alright, there's the beers. Let's do it. That was definitely something I wasn't expecting to do in Mosul. So this is a locally brewed Iraqi Pilsner. So locally brewed is in like near Mosul. Let's see how it is. Alright, before anyone is worried, this is all 100% legal. The shop is legally open. There's no need to worry about any of that. Alright, let's have the beer. That's a Pilsner. This is actually really solid.
Really?
Yeah, I would say this is a pretty good beer.
Yeah.
Alright, cheers.
Cheers.
So our plan today is we're going to what? Ashur.
Ashur.
And what?
And then
Ashur and then Samara.
Samara. And then Tikrit as well.
Passing through Tikrit.
Yes.
And then Baghdad.
Then Baghdad, yeah.
Hello, everyone. So my big takeaway as we rolled out of Mosul is not that Mosul's bouncing back or Mosul is trying to recover. It's that Mosul's just composed of a bunch of human beings that found themselves in a really shitty circumstance, and they're just trying to live their lives. So as the CEO of an adventure travel company, my job when I go through countries like these is to build a bit of a gauge as to which sites are worth visiting, which ones are not. Because while some trips, everyone just wants to visit every single archaeological site, we're not like that. We tried to do a bit of a mix of archaeology, culture, food, history, and all that sort of stuff. And I would say that Ashur, even though this place was cool, probably wasn't quite outstanding enough for us to add it to an itinerary. Ali, you were saying, what's the reason that we're getting through all these checkpoints so easily? They're not stopping us at all.
Yeah, so because it's plausible that you look like an Iraqi. Yeah, and then we have something in the car as well. Everyone's thinking that we're all Christians because
Right.
we've got crosses.
Right.
And Christians also tend to have a lighter skin than
Yeah.
regular Iraqis.
Yeah, we've seen some really lighter skinned guys here, and I can actually see why people would think I'm Iraqi now.
And then with the haircut.
And the haircut, which I got yesterday in Mosul. So, Ali, where are we?
We're in Beijing.
Beji.
Yeah.
Not the world's most pretty town, but we need to show the reality. This town is absolutely heaving with people, so many cars and people, despite it not being particularly attractive. And there's one reason for that, and that is there's a single highway between Baghdad and Mosul. It goes more or less along the Tigris River, which is where so many people in this country live. There's so many towns and cities all along that river. And little towns like this benefit from all that highway traffic. These people need to eat something, and they're not going to wait until they get to Mosul, even if the town is not particularly photogenic. I don't know, the food looks good. So this is typical Iraqi roadside diner food. All that food in the middle, we didn't order any of that. We just ordered the dishes that came to us. This food is delicious. It's absolutely delicious, and it costs $6 US per person. So we're currently rolling into Tikrit, which is the home base, the famous home base of Saddam Hussein, with all these palaces and a lot of his insanity, and known as his power bed. It's actually where he was born. So Ali, how many checkpoints do you think we've gone through today?
At least 6 or 8.
Ali's saying 6 or 8. I reckon it's more than that. But anyway. So right now we're rolling to Samara, and Ali was just sharing with me that this city is a bit unusual because it's a Sunni city, but with one of the most important Shia shrines. And there's tons of military stuff everywhere. Like, we've gone through a few checkpoints, there's quite a few buildings and bases, because it's a very sensitive place. Anyway, they've just told me to put my phone away, yeah?
No.
Okay, so Ali, we're driving through Samara.
Yes, which is a capital for the Abbasid Empire. So this place is from the 9th century, and it's the only capital from the Abbasid that has retained its original plan. Like, if you look at the GPS image, the satellite image, you're going to see the entire plan of the city is still intact, quite intact.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing to go to a major historical site and just be bumping around the roads to get there. No signage, no fences.
And all of
So this area was Muslim by the time they built this thing. Now let's see how far I can climb this thing before I get nervous.
this is still the really wide part of these.
Shit, it gets narrower.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. If you're watching, Mum, look at me. I'm hugging the wall because I'm so nervous. I'm tapping out. I'm too much of a scaredy cat for this stuff. But look at that view, though. So when people hang out with me a bit, they're like, man, he goes to Iraq, he goes to Iran, and then I get scared going up a bunch of steps. How does that make sense? Well, make it make sense, because I don't know how. That checkpoint that we just went through is right at the site of one of the most famous battles that Islamic State fought, because after so much expansion, they finally ran into resistance in Iraq. Right here is where enough people gathered together and said enough is enough, and they decided to fight. And fight they did, and Islamic State was able to go no further than here. So the reason they chose to fight right here is because there is a very important Shia shrine nearby. But regardless of the reason, we can thank God that they did fight, because I think we all know that Islamic State got far further than they should ever have done so. Anyway, that wraps up this part of my trip to Iraq. I've always had a morbid fascination, I guess, with this part of Iraq's history, and I'm looking forward to seeing Baghdad and getting a different flavor of Iraq and everything that it means. Why they finished doing their inspection, right? But now it's time to go to Baghdad.
Yes.
Final stretch of highway. Nothing in our way. First impressions of Baghdad is that this city is absolutely immense. It's huge. Just gonna grab a coffee in a modern coffee shop. You are from Baghdad?
I'm from Baghdad. I was born in 2003, right when the Americans invaded. Yeah,
Right.
same time.
And you know what it's like to live through the uncertainty and the
Yes.
insecurity.
Yeah.
And you're saying for sure last 10 years, 8 years,
Yeah,
it's
they've been extremely safe.
perfectly safe.
Yeah.
No worries whatsoever. This is second hand or it's brand new? Or?
No, that's right here.
And do soldiers buy this stuff?
Yeah, they do.
So military gear. And they actually buy it to use in their professional roles. So what's this?
This is the counter-terrorism forces.
And I'm gonna buy it.
Yes.
How much does it cost?
Like $3.
This is a second-hand stethoscope. I honestly don't want to know where it came from. Wow. Alright. So in 2003, just after the American invasion, a $1 billion robbery occurred right here at the central bank. So just next to that super busy market is this wonderfully serene madrasa where hundreds of the most elite students from around the country would come to study hundreds and hundreds of years ago, learn the main topics of science and Islam. Man, this is so beautiful. So students would study in this classroom 800 years ago. Wow. It's nice to be in this building and to be able to breathe and just take it in. So this tiny little restaurant is tucked here inside the bazaar. What are we eating, Ali?
We're eating kubba,
Kuba.
which is bulgur stuffed with meat and it's boiled. And the hotel room is bizarre. Okay.
Yeah. Right, so, alright, let's try this.
So this cafe is more than 100 years old.
Wow.
And so it is known for the nice vibes inside.
Alright, so Ali says I must read this book.
Yes,
He says I'm gonna love it.
yes, because it's related to Sufism.
So it's got a bit of magic to it, does it?
Exactly.
Nice. Something I don't show in these videos is how many questions I ask people off camera. I have most of my conversations when I'm not recording, just to respect the person's privacy to make them feel comfortable. But I ask so many questions. I ask them about what their life was like under ISIS, what life was like under Saddam Hussein, what the life was like with the Americans, what life was like with the Civil War, etc., etc. And I've learned so much about Kurdistan, Iraq, Iran this way, and it's really informed my perceptions of culture, safety, and all that sort of stuff.
گرمرد رهی میان خون باید رفت از پای فتاده سرنگون باید رفت.
Oh man, I gotta say, I love this moment. I'm starting to really love this moment in the Iraqi restaurants where all the food just gets piled on the table like this. Ay. So we're done with our Baghdad lunch and we got sat next to a couple of guys who were super friendly. They started chatting with us and away we went. And that has just been my experience this entire time. Just sit down next to some people. They show a little bit of curiosity. They might send a few glances over. You open a conversation and boom, you're having an incredible conversation and they're just saying, welcome to my country and I hope you have a wonderful time and all that sort of stuff. I've really, really enjoyed the warmth and hospitality I've received in Iran, in Kurdistan and Iraq. So right behind me is the scene of one of the most important and memorable events at the start of the Iraq War. And if you can't guess what it is, well, the hint is that something's missing. And that is the Saddam Hussein statue was right here. And it was pulled down by American forces and it was one of the most famous images of all news in 2003. And now it's just empty. So in a pretty crazy twist of events, we met a famous YouTuber in Iraq who just happens to own one of the only legal bars in Baghdad. It's a Mexican-themed bar, and he took us down there to have a few drinks.
Mix a little more.
Oh, it's. Oh yeah, this is strong. It's gonna go down well.
So, cheers.
Cheers.
Drink water. I'm on the job.
Or like.
So let's check out this Baghdad supermarket. What do they have? Peanut butter and chocolate Oreos. Gonna be a good boy. So we're gonna go through a Baghdad neighborhood right now. Just trying to show what a regular neighborhood looks like. Although I suspect this one's a little bit more economically sound.
Yes.
Where are we right now?
We are at an ancient Babylonian capital from the 14th century BC.
Wow.
And the most noticeable thing in it is that massive ziggurat right here.
So explorers 150 years ago thought this was the Tower of Babel, which was destroyed by God when human beings tried to build too close to the sun, at least according to the tradition. And then, yeah, it turns out it's not the case. This is just a very, very large ziggurat. So something very unusual we've just seen at this historical site, and it is people. There's actually a group of people here.
It's gonna actually wage a war against them or something.
So what are these?
Those are reed mats. They built between every few layers of bricks in a way to support the building and stabilize it.
Wow.
And basically they've been, we could not fossilized, but kind of, as they've survived for a long time, for 3,400 years.
3,400-year-old reed mats. This room has been partially reconstructed just to give an idea of what it would look like with the reed mats and the wooden logs. But I'm going to give a bit of context to people who've watched all the way through the video so far. So part of my job when I come to these kinds of places is spend a lot of time visiting places that are 50-50. Like, are we sure? Are we going to add them in to the trip, or should we not add them into the trip? So some of the clearly in places I don't visit. To give a perfect example, Fallujah. This is the highway to Fallujah. I more wanted to visit this out of personal curiosity, but some trips do go here. So Anbar province is where so many bad things have happened over the last 25 years. America had all sorts of issues here with Ramadi and Fallujah. And then this was the first area that ISIS took over.
It's the largest province in the country.
That's the largest province, because it has that massive empty area that borders with Syria. And we've seen another river. This is not the Tigris River, it is the Euphrates.
Which is my favorite river.
It's your favorite river?
Yeah, I prefer the Euphrates.
Why?
I think it's more beautiful. I don't know if that makes sense. So you can see the water is just even clearer here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it comes through in the video, but I actually agree. The water feels more beautiful here. So this mosque right here, there's bullet holes all over the wall. Many aspects of it are blown up. And then right below it, you just have people going about their daily life. It's not like you pause the entire life and rebuild and then start. Yeah. They build the daily life around the destruction and little by little do the repairs. So this is a grape juice vendor. It's grape juice. Raisin juice. I don't know if it comes through on the video, but there's a bit of magic to this place.
This one?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's just something. There's something about it. I think the fact that it's really active, all the shops are open, and they're all working on different things. Yeah. One of the strongest impressions I've forming from Iraq is just the base level of humanity that's here, right? Yeah. Not necessarily good people and bad people, that sort of stuff. It's more like about how a tiny minority can just hijack the lives of everyone else, right? Through coordinated action. But everyone you speak to, they're just trying to live.
Exactly. They're just humans doing what humans do around the world.
Yeah, they're just trying to pay their bills, take care of their family, make sure their kids get educated, etc., etc. And then these dudes just rock up and destroy their lives.
It's basically the thing about, like in war, like two soldiers, like, why do you want to kill me? Oh, because you want to kill me. I'm trying to kill you because you want to kill me.
Right.
And it's basically a loop.
Yeah, it's a loop.
Yeah.
And then there's all these other people just sitting around going, can you guys just please get this shit sorted? We're trying to get back to living.
Exactly.
Alright, lunchtime in Fallujah. A famous lunch spot in Fallujah. Let's deal with all that shit.
Let's go.
So the theme of tonight was we're going to check out one of the nicest spots at Baghdad, is that right?
Yes, when it comes to shopping and restaurants.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it. So this falafel place feels exactly like the falafel place I went to in Mosul. Head for head, Mosul versus Baghdad, who does it better? I love going to shopping centres in places where the destination has a really negative image in the news as being like poor or being war-torn or whatever. And just the idea that there could be a generic shopping centre that's just beautiful and everyone's happy. It should make sense, and it does make sense, but it doesn't fit people's existing image. This is Mansour shopping mall that we're going to explore. It's really full. Tons of people here.
It's like the first one to open, like this proper big shopping mall in Petrol Iraq is like the first one to open around like 13, if I remember correctly, 13 years ago.
Okay, wow.
So there was a big specific one that taxis. Huh? Still.
So it's coffee time. So this is another flat white, Baghdadi flat white.
Yeah, so see if it's...
Let's,
see if it's real.
Oh, you got a flat white as well?
No, I got a latte.
Okay.
Just a regular latte.
Well, we know what this place is.
Yes, so this is the ancient city of Babylon. And here we have a replica of the Ishtar Gate, the famous gate that was found here. And it's currently in the Bergamo Museum in Berlin.
Right. So the colours, the size, everything?
I would say that the one in Berlin is larger and it looks better.
Okay.
Yes.
So this was a processional street, and Ali's just shared a really cool fact with me. What is this black stuff?
Bitumen.
Bitumen.
That is 2,600 years old.
2,600. I didn't know they used bitumen back then. I had no idea. And look at that. This is the street that we were showing before that has the bitumen. And if you look down these steps, you can see these 2,600 years old buildings. And what this means is basically they leveled up the city themselves, right?
So the way that this temple was restored is the same way that it was built, which would be with the mud and the reeds.
So they use the exact same methods of construction
Yes.
to rebuild what to me is actually pretty impressive.
Which is the temple of Nidmach.
So these are the ruins of the main palace of the king. So this palace was extensive. Once again, we're finding these plaques glorifying Saddam all over the place. Check out the echoes in this place. Let's see if we can make it actually carry through on the video. I'm not sure if this will come through. Hopefully come through at least a little bit. Yeah, it is. So the Germans, was it just the Germans?
Yes, it's the Germans.
So when they discovered this place, many of the walls were covered with really beautiful tiles and paintings.
Yeah.
And the Germans just ripped it off the walls and put it all in Berlin.
Yep.
And it's in the, which museum?
Bergman.
The
Bergman Museum.
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
We were just talking about how there's a lot of inertia that all these pieces are still in Germany today. But if any country tried to pull that shit today,
Yeah, that would be...
yeah, there would be a lot of international anger.
Exactly.
Can you imagine?
Well, then you go to
Can you
the British
imagine?
Museum
Like,
and-
or if the reverse happened. Can you imagine, like, if the Iranians just rock up to like some Civil War battle scene in America and there's like pull out everything that matters
because
and put it. People would be extremely pissed off.
Exactly. All right. So basically, what this says, the same that's what Saddam was trying to copy, which is I'm the king Nebuchadnezzar. I've built this one, dedicating it to a specific god.
And this is written in cuneiform,
Yes, in cuneiform.
like 3,000 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Ali, how do you feel about this, seeing that the city has been restored? Is it something positive, or do you see it as like
I don't see
sacrilege?
I don't see it positive because the way it was restored is that the bricks used here are the same bricks that were used to build my house. Literally, they're from the 80s, the late 80s. My house is from the late 80s.
Really?
So it's not the best way to restore a site. It must be like the same way that it was built.
Quote unquote restore.
Exactly.
This is an example of what the walls used to look like. I'm not sure if it comes through because of the reflection, but this is one of the things that the Germans didn't take. This is Saddam's palace. And this hill didn't exist before, you were saying.
Yes, there used to be a village right where this hill is right now.
He decided to build a hill on top of the village.
Yes, to overlook and to look at the basically the Babylon.
The beautiful city of Babylon that he had recreated.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the palace. Right here, you've got Saddam being Saddam. Here's the view that he had, or would have had. Whoa. Wow. So this view that we're just about to see is pretty awesome.
Babylon. These are the rivers.
Where we sat down. Wow, which river is this?
This is part of the Euphrates, which is called Al-Hilla River. Shatt Al-Hilla.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. OMG. Is this where the big man would have slept, or maybe he had meetings, I guess?
Meeting space.
And the Americans had a thing or two to say on these walls. We've just arrived to the city of Najaf. And Ali's currently walking me up a bunch of mysterious stairs.
Right? You see this?
Oh wow. Everything in this image is the cemetery. So we're in the holy city of Najaf.
Yes.
Is that an accurate term?
Yes, it is.
What makes Najaf so holy?
The shrine of Imam Ali, which is the first Imam for Shia and also the cousin of the Prophet Muhammad.
Uh-huh.
He's buried here, which is why we have the cemetery over there. There's also like some people think they want to be buried close to him.
Yeah. So this is the most important city in the world for Shia. So there's going to be people here from all over the world. So another fact check for the day.
Yes, it is the most holy city after Mecca and Medina.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been to my fair share of Shia sites around the world, but this is something else. On the other side of that wooden screen, that's the women's sections. So what we just saw, we can't record it, but we just saw someone getting carried out in a coffin.
Yes.
Straight out to that massive cemetery.
Yes, that's something that we do, is that we take the dead person, they do a tour around the shrine, do some prayers, and then they take them to the cemetery. This is the Grand Bazaar.
This is directly outside the shrine.
Yeah.
The Grand Bazaar of Najaf.
What they have in the regular, so basically this is coconut,
Oh yeah?
a lot of sugar,
Mm-hmm.
and you can have a different variation of it. So this has nuts, coconut, and some cream.
So, let's try these pieces. Wow. It looks very sticky and sweet. So any Australians watching this video would know what a honey joy is. It doesn't taste fully like a honey joy, but it's the most similar thing. One thing I love about traveling in the Islamic world is juice. You can get so many amazing juices everywhere. It's very good. Thank you. Shukran. I've got to say, I'm having a really good day. A really good day. Going to historical sites, going to important shrines, going through a beautiful bazaar. Like, to me, this day feels like Najaf. Sorry, it feels like Iraq at its finest. What did this guy just say about Australia?
This is 1,000 times better than Iraq.
1,000 times better than Iraq. Now we're back to a regular Middle Eastern city, including trying to cross this traffic. It's So pretty much all small cities in Iraq are just like this. Alright, this is the food that's come to the table in Najaf. What are we eating?
We're eating lamb, chickpeas, and other vegetables.
So this is like a stew.
Yes.
Does it have any curry in it? Oh, look at that. It's kind of like... kind of glutinous.
Yeah.
We're now on the road to Kerbala. Having seen 2 traffic accidents in the last hour or so. Fingers crossed we can stay safe.
So, the importance of Karbala as a city comes from the battle, the historical battle that happened here between the son of Ali and the army of the son of Muawiyah, which is one of the Umayyad caliphs. So the battle happened here.
This is like a major face-off between Shia and Sunni, basically, in the early days.
Yes. And when that happened, Imam Hussein's people, they got killed, all of them.
Yeah.
They got beheaded.
Oh.
They toured with their head across the Umayyad Empire.
Right.
Yes.
It's not very nice.
No, it's very nice. This is the reason why we have a modern city here right now. It's
Okay.
got its significance because the imams are buried here.
Okay. We just walked into a barbershop, and the best conversations so far have been in barbershops,
Yes.
without a doubt.
Basically.
Yeah, these guys were really, like, in this super conservative city where everyone's dressed conservatively. They were lighting up.
Yeah, and the shrine is right next to us.
What was that?
The shrine is right next to us.
The shrine is right next to us, and they were being really heavily critical of the religious leaders and what they've done
Yeah.
to Iraq, which was quite interesting to hear that perspective, you know. And actually, they were really happy to have the conversation. They're saying it's a really great idea to speak to so many people and get everyone's different perspectives. And good to hear some people actually being open, which has been difficult in Iraq.
Yeah.
Wait, slow down. Well, we have to be honest, we have to be direct. A lot of people would be quite intimidated to see so many women dressed like this. They have negative many people in the West have negative associations.
Yes.
But here it's just a sign of reverence towards a shrine.
Exactly. That's what it is.
And there's
But
nothing...
there would be a full outfit underneath.
Yeah, but there's nothing more to read into it than that. It's just like,
Yes.
if you go to, in the West, if you go to a funeral, you dress in black.
That's basically
Right,
what it
you
is.
go to a wedding, the bride dresses in white. We have certain customs around the way we dress, and one of the customs around the way these people dress is they'll dress very conservatively to go to a significant religious.
Yes.
So we have two major shrines separated by a square here, and people milling around and just enjoying the atmosphere. This is a really distinctively, obviously Iranian group from Shiraz. Iran is probably the biggest source of pilgrims to this site outside of Iraq.
Yes.